Hi, let's talk about the choice to see versus assume. And this is in the context of leadership. Many leadership problems don't really come from a lack of skill or studies or strategy or effort. They come from assumptions. How often do we assume we understand someone else's intentions? We understand what they are saying or wanting to say. We understand their motivations, their capacity without actually checking, without actually clarifying. Every assumption is a choice. You can choose to assume or you can choose to truly see, to open your mind and to take a moment to assess a situation without prejudging it, without drawing conclusions right away. The word conclusion already says it. It's about concluding something without, it's about closing something up without actually looking into it further. But that's not what we want to do when we look at a situation that requires our leadership. Here's how assuming and seeing are different. Assuming is filling in gaps with your own story, your own meaning, your own understanding of the situation without looking into it in detail. And that often happens unconsciously. Seeing, on the other hand, is observing what is actually there, questioning what you understood from it at the first moment, noticing what's real, asking instead of projecting. So asking more questions. A great question to always ask is, or a prompt to give people is, tell me more. I want to give you a few examples here. Let's say you interpret someone's silence as disengagement. They're actually processing or thinking, but you think they are disengaged because they behave in a different way than you would potentially. Or you think someone's behavior means that they don't care without questioning your conclusion, without or assumption, right? When in fact, they are overwhelmed. So the key here is that assumptions are easy and often precipitated. They are cheap and fast, you could say, but they can be costly in many cases. Now, let's bring this into leadership, especially in small businesses. Why does this matter? In small teams, but really in any team, but let's just look at a small team for right now. In small teams, assumptions are quickly amplified. You work closely together with every person, and every misinterpretation affects the environment and outcomes, even if it's not immediately obvious. Leadership problems start when we act on assumptions instead of reality. Concrete examples here could be especially for a small business, could be you assume that a team member doesn't want more responsibility, and so you just don't offer it. And they in turn feel overlooked because you never questioned whether they actually didn't want more responsibility. It was really just an assumption. You never asked them. Or you deliver a specific type of service to your client and you assume that it's all they wanted, but you never really asked them. So how then would you know? You could potentially miss out on more on more business, right? Or if it's still part of a project, they might walk away and not be satisfied with the work you delivered. And that could cost you your reputation. So it's really, really important to not make assumptions, but rather be sure that you have understood the person's behavior or the situation correctly. Assuming instead of seeing erodes relationships. It can erode motivation, performance. And this erosion slowly but surely continues. It compiles, right? And that happens every single day, little by little. Even those small moments over time, they add up. So practical tools you can apply immediately in this context. Ask yourself in any interaction, am I seeing what is actually happening? Am I understanding this fully, or am I filling in the gaps with my own story? Am I listening to understand, or am I listening to confirm what I already think or know? Confirmation bias, right? We all do this. It's just really important to know that we do this and to remind ourselves that this is a possibility so that we can question it in the moment and avoid mistakes. Another question you can ask is, am I responding to the person or am I responding to my interpretation of them? Choosing to see instead of assume is a daily leadership practice. It's a daily choice. It's not a one-time decision. Let me walk you through a potential scenario. You're a small business owner pitching a proposal to a client. You assume they're not interested. You move on. The reality is they are weighing options and they didn't say yes yet, but they also didn't say no yet, right? So you miss the opportunity. And here's another example. A team member misses a deadline. Your assumption might be they are lazy or careless or maybe disorganized. If you practice seeing instead of assuming, then you might discover that they're struggling with their workload. Maybe their priorities are not clear, or they are going through a personal challenge. Or you might be seeing that they are indeed lazy or careless or unorganized, which is also a possibility. But we want to clarify this first. So then we have the choice to offer guidance, clarity, and support if that's what the problem is. The choice to contribute to an improvement in the outcome. Or the choice to provide feedback if they are indeed lazy or careless or unorganized. So we can amend this. The choice to see rather than assume impacts outcomes. It impacts relationships and it also impacts your credibility as a leader. Leadership isn't about knowing everything or being right all the time. It's about choosing to see what's actually happening. And it's about responding consciously, choosing awareness before responding. Awareness over assumption. So ask yourself, where have I been assuming instead of seeing? And where have I seen the consequences of that in the past? What difference could it make if I made a conscious decision, a conscious choice to observe first and respond second? Your assumptions are not everyone's reality or truth. They're not even other people's assumptions necessarily. They're your assumptions. Choosing to see instead is one of the simplest, most powerful leadership choices you can make.